Hi, I'm Jared Lenares, Network Security Engineer at AeroDefense. Today, I'm joined by Ron Leech, founder of Leech Strategic Partners, a retired member of the New Jersey State Police and former subject matter expert and chairman of the New Jersey State Police UAS Working Group. Ron advises public safety agencies nationwide on UAS and counter-UAS strategies. With the FAA's new drone-specific TFRs, or temporary flight restrictions for large events and stadiums now in effect, Ron brings in a unique perspective on what these changes mean for law enforcement and event security. So Ron, when it comes to TFRs, what is a TFR, temporary flight restriction, and how has it evolved?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Appreciate it. TFRs are temporary flight restrictions. It's the FAA's way of keeping aircraft away from large events, something that it's in the interest of safety. So the FAA is in the business of securing the national airspace system safety-wise, and part of that ability to secure the airspace is issuing temporary flight restrictions. People think that temporary flight restrictions came about as a result of the 9/11 attacks, but actually they go back to 1971 when the FAA issued temporary flight restrictions over major events like train derailments, major catastrophic events, car accidents, something that would draw in sightseeing aircraft where it would interfere with the response. So that's the origin of the TFR. They've certainly evolved after 9/11 with more focus on some critical infrastructure like stadiums and some other areas that would probably be not in the best interest of having aircraft fly over.
So kind of give me a better understanding on what's included in the FAA's new drone-only TFR provisions that have started, of course, this past August 7th, and which venues and events qualify for these new TFRs.
So venues that previously had access to TFR coverage, they retain that. What the FAA has done is streamline the process for different venues that are not traditional stadiums. So think of like outdoor festivals, gatherings that are going to bring in large amounts of people. This one says specifically if you expect 100,000 people at your event and you want a TFR, the FAA now has a process that allows state, local, tribal, territorial jurisdictions to request a TFR over that area.
So with these venues and events, I'm sure people are kind of wondering who can apply for these TFRs or drone-only TFRs.
So it would be a certified law enforcement organization, state, local, tribal, territorial, right? They have the ability to make that request. Prisons, military bases, certain government facilities also have that ability. Something to keep in mind though, that people are also going to need to have access to those TFRs. People like public safety, the media. The media is permitted by aviation regulations that have access to certain events, but they have to coordinate that. They just can't fly their aircraft in and say, I'm here, I'm taking pictures, I'm going to get some footage from my TV station. It has to be coordinated. Also, if it's going to interfere with the response, there's going to be some guidance. It's like, we may not give you access now, but we will later on for the media people. With the new way to obtain TFRs, instead of going through the Systems Operations Support Center in Washington, FAA, they've now opened up the authorization process to go through regional offices of the FAA. They're part of the Air Route Traffic Control Centers. All right, so there's 3 centers under the Air Traffic Organization. There's the Eastern, Central, and Western. There's email contacts for you if you need to get need to start a process for a TFR. You could go through these new offices now. So it looks like it's going to spread the workload out and allow the process to move along faster. They do require 30 days notification prior to requesting a TFR, so don't just show up on Monday and say, hey, we need a TFR on Friday. There's a planning process with that. What's going to have to be included is your event name, right? They're going to want a geographical location, so give them the lats and longs, latitude, longitudes, right? The start date, end date, and those times that'll be active in between, right? The altitude that you're requesting, a radius if applicable, but probably the most important is going to be a primary point of contact. The FAA wants to know who to reach out to not only for when you're asking the TFR, but if there's something that happens during that TFR, they need to get in contact with somebody who's managing that. They want a phone number, they want an email.
So, like, how far in advance should law enforcement request a drone TFR? And kind of give me a rundown of the process.
So with the sporting events, you can pretty much expect the stadiums. The FAA has been doing TFRs over stadiums and major sporting events for quite a while now. That's already in place. With these new TFR requests, it's going to be, again, be a 30-day request. You're going to make to a specific office in your region. Where do you fall in the United States? That would be the regional office for the FAA for you to contact. There's the Eastern, Central, and Western. I have emails, again, like I said, for those organizations. If you're looking, if you don't want to go through the FAA website to find them, I have those available for you.
So, how can organizations build effective response policies for drone pilots?
The FAA is a great resource. www.faa.gov. That's great. A lot of information in there. If you're not from an aviation background, it could be a little confusing for you. So that's where organizations should rely on subject matter experts such as myself, right? I've 30 years of aviation experience, 23 of that law enforcement. It just works. I understand the process. I understand the demands placed on public safety and their urgency to stand programs up or get TFRs or whatever that might be. So what I try to do is walk my clients through from a zero understanding of aviation to at least having an operational knowledge to get them on their way to have a successful drone program. One thing I don't do is I don't recommend one thing over another, like technology-wise, because you have to understand what the public safety mission set is going to be before you start buying things, or before you start saying we're going to do this in mission, we're going to do crash reconstruction, search and rescue. Understand what it is you're getting into, and then my job is to help filter you towards that technology that's whatever it's going to be, drone detection or it's going to be a drone itself. Find out what's going to work for you, right? And then let you do your field testing and see if it meets your expectations.
Ron, thank you so much for your insights today. I really appreciate our conversations. Where can people learn more about you and about Leech Strategic Partners?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn, Ron Leech. You can just reach out to me there. I do have a website, www.leechsp.com, and ron@leechsp.com is my email address. Talk is free. If there's something I can help you with, reach out, give me a call, or link up with me on LinkedIn.